Yes, this is your mission and you have accepted it. This is the first of 6 modules for this 20-hour safe pre-licensure course. Notice on the navigation sidebar to your right the Outline tab with a search feature above the tab. Enter a keyword to identify the location of that keyword within the presentation that you want to find. Additionally, the Notes tab often contains additional information for many of the pages in the presentation, especially when audio is present. There is not audio present on every page in each of the presentations in the course. That mission for AAA mortgage training is still a work in progress, as is our next generation of courses. We thank you in advance for making course enhancement suggestions at the end of the course survey and in the comments tab in the modules when they occur to you. We want to help you get better at origination and seek your comments to help us improve your online learning experience. Finally, a reminder, the attached PDF file of the entire course is found in the resources link on the top left corner of the course player. To identify locations of keywords within that PDF file, remember to touch the Control key found on the bottom left-hand corner of your keyboard and the F key at the same time on your keyboard to open a Find feature and enter the desired keyword. Remember that Control and F at the same time will be useful within the PDF file and virtually any other electronic document, including Microsoft Documents and web pages. Your mission objectives, also known as learning objectives. Recall which roles require licensing or registration and which roles are exempt. 2. Outline minimum qualifications and disqualifying criteria for MLO licensing. 3. Evaluated, completed, and pending education and testing requirements. The mission objective key point. 1. Individuals who act as an MLO for non-depositories require licensure, and employees of depositories, like banks and credit unions, and clerical and support staff are exempt from licensure, but MLOs of those depositories must register with the NMLS. 2. Evaluated and disqualified items include any felony in the last 7 years, dishonesty felonies for an indefinite period of time, such as fraud and money laundering. The most recent 3 years credit history is evaluated, and a person with previous license revocation is excluded from licensing. 3. Minimum of 20 hours of pre-licensing, or PE, to obtain a license, and a minimum of 8 hours of continuing education required to maintain. Owls are wise, and so is Benjamin Franklin. His quote about involvement: "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." Expect many examples, exercises, interactions, learning games, and quizzes throughout the course. Occasionally, for a hoot, an exercise or learning game introducing a concept precedes additional presentation slides on the. This is your passport for a license. Education and successful testing, your passport to MLO licensing. Mortgage loan originators, MLOs, working for a federally supervised deposit-taking institution, register with the NMLS and are known as registered mortgage loan originator. MLOs working for a state-licensed mortgage company must acquire a state-issued license as an MLO prior to engaging in an origination activity. This course is the first stamp in your journey to becoming a state-licensed mortgage loan originator. Quick review of the test outline for the SAFE Act and Model State Law, also known as the Uniform State Test, UST. Section 1 is the Department of Financial Institutions or Mortgage Regulatory Commission, reviewing regulatory authority, responsibilities, and limitation. Item 2, State Law and Regulation Definition. Item 3, License Law and Regulation, including A, persons required to be licensed, B, licensee qualifications and application processes, C, grounds for denying a license, D, license maintenance, such as continuing education, E, NMLS requirements such as registration thereof and updating the information as it changes. 4. Compliance includes prohibited conduct and practices, required conduct such as issuing disclosures, and C, advertising. This course contains many citations that reference the U.S. Government Code of Federal Regulation, known as CFR. See the resources link on the top left of the course player to view links to the CFR and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. Knowing acronyms such as CFR and CFPB used throughout the course proves essential to grasping content and answering course and/or NMLS exam questions. Discover most federal regulations cited for reference in this course in the CFR under Title 12, Banks and Banking, Chapter X, Parts 100 to 1099, Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, unless otherwise cited. View citations throughout the course in the Resources tab in the top left portion of the course player that will contain a PDF of the cited regulation. Bad actors running amok in the mortgage industry caused state-level industry regulators to form the NMLS, Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System, even before the financial crisis erupted, an action taken by the U.S. government. Utilizing the NMLS as a resource, it was included in the Secure and Fair Enforcement of Mortgage Licensing Act, the SAFE Act. Click Next to reveal more information. Remember to click the Notes tab to the left of the Outline tab on the course player on the left-hand side. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, enforces the Federal Secure and Fair Enforcement of Mortgage Licensing Act, the SAFE Act, issuing rules of compliance and Regulation H. When you see hyperlinks, move your mouse over the link for more information on that item. Regulation H, which is the regulation requiring MLOs employed by depository institutions such as federally chartered banks register to get and maintain a unique identifier. The legislature, Congress and Senate, passes laws written idealistically or with a high-level view. The enacted law authorizes a regulatory body to issue rules, a regulation, informing affected parties specifically how to comply with the ideas in the law. The SAFE Act implemented tracking of company and individuals as mortgage loan originators, MLOs, through the Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System, NMLS. The SAFE Act mandated federal minimum licensing qualification requirements, including education, a 20 hours pre-licensing minimum, 8 hours CE annually, testing, 115 scored questions with a score of 75%, background check. Disqualifying information includes felonies for 7 years or more if it was a felony of dishonesty, a credit check. Financial responsibility is evaluated the most recent 3 years. Found in the Notes tab, the Housing and Economic Recovery Act, HERA of 2008. Title V of the Act, entitled the Secure and Fair Enforcement of Mortgage Licensing Act, also known as the SAFE Act. The CFPB is responsible for enforcement of the SAFE Act and issued rules to support the Act under Regulation 8, found in the United States Code of Federal Regulations, CFR, Title 12, Chapter Act, Part 1008. The SAFE Act developed in an effort to assist in the recovery and revitalization of the housing market. The SAFE Act enforces consumer protection and reduces fraud in the mortgage industry by requiring all mortgage loan originators to be either state licensed or federally registered. The SAFE Act implemented the tracking of MLO licensing across the United States, D.C., and its territories with the intent to drive bad actors from the mortgage industry. The Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System, NMLS, facilitates company-level state licensing as well as individual MLO licensing at the state level. The SAFE Act mandated federally imposed minimum standards for education, testing, minimum credit and background check requirements, as well as established a federal registration requirements for individuals who act as residential MLOs who are employed by agency-regulated institutions. In other words, deposit-taking institutions, such as banks and credit unions. Regulation H, SAFE Mortgage Licensing Act requires, first, loan officer licensing for employees of non-depositories such as mortgage brokers and lenders, which includes education, testing, criminal and credit history checks that could disqualify. Regulation G, loan officer registration for employees of depository institutions such as banks and credit unions, which requires employment and background checks as determined by the institution at the time of employment, but no disqualifying criteria through the NMLS or state regulators. The Housing and Economic Recovery Act, HERA. Remember, move your mouse over hyperlink for more information known as screen tips, even if you do not want to visit the linked website. Also, in the Resources tab in the top left corner, there is a PDF file of the presentation that is searchable and useful when reviewing missed questions on exercises and quizzes. The Housing and Economic Recovery Act of 2008, Title V of the Act, entitled the Secure and Fair Enforcement for Mortgage Licensing Act, also known as the SAFE Act. Developed in an effort to assist in the recovery and revitalization of the housing market, the SAFE Act enhances consumer protection and reduces fraud in the mortgage industry by requiring all mortgage loan originators, MLOs, be either state licensed or federally registered. The SAFE Act implemented the tracking of MLO licensing across the United States, D.C., and its territories with the intent to drive bad actors from the mortgage industry. The nationwide mortgage licensing system, NMLS, facilitates company-level state licensing as well as individual MLO licensing at the state level. The SAFE Act mandated federally imposed minimum standards for education testing, minimum credit and background check requirements, as well as established federal registration requirements for individuals who act as residential MLOs and who are employed by agency-regulated institutions. These, once again, are minimum standards, and states may impose additional requirements above and beyond the minimum standards. View the Getting Started section of the NMLS website in the pop-up window. Note, you can resize a web page that pops up, click on hyperlinks, or copy and paste the address into your address bar of a web browser, but you cannot scroll in the pop-up web page. Notice the website address. Your first mission is complete. Mission possible. Close your browser to take a break or proceed to your next assignment. You're awesome. Great job.